You can be right about a stock, right about the direction, and still lose money on the trade. Most traders don't blow up or lose money because they don't have skill. They lose it because they lack risk management. And that's what we're here to talk about today in our swing trading series, risk management, my personal strategy for managing risk with swing trades. So without further ado, let's get into it here. So in the last video, we talked about kind of the fundamental idea of swing trading, which is that it's kind of a cash flow vehicle as opposed to a beating the market strategy specifically. And it's a very important concept to understand. But regardless of that, it doesn't matter if you're not managing the risk correctly. And I'll share with you kind of what I do specifically. So as far as maintaining a profitable system and minimizing losses, I follow what I call the 10% rule, and that is basically ripped off of Jesse Livermore. And if you're not familiar with him, he's like maybe like the greatest trader ever. If you got a chance, the only book on stocks I recommend reading is Reminiscences of a Stock Operator. I don't know if you can see that, but I'll put it in the pinned comment below. And basically what it is he would say, and this is from my essentials course here, which is still on sale until this Friday, but he said to divide your capital into 10 equal parts and never risk more than 1/10 of your capital on any one trade. So in other words, if you have 100K, every position should be $10,000, right, that you take. And that's essentially what he did. And the reason, and you should never take a loss of more than 10% on those. So that way your max loss on any one trade is 1% of total buying power, which is actually a pretty, it's a pretty solid, it's a pretty solid backstop, especially if you're winning more trades than you lose, you're going to be in the green there. But I personally modify this a little bit. And the reason for that is back when he was, in his heyday, was like 1920s, right? So there was maybe like 13 stocks in the Dow, and then there was the transports, I think, and then you had the commodities, right? So there was only like 40 or 50 assets you could possibly trade, and then bonds. Whereas now, I mean, you got companies like like Duolingo, right, that are public, right? You know what I mean? There's any company you can think of, is Snapchat, right, is public, right? So there's like tens of thousands of different vehicles you can trade, and that means more opportunities, right? So and obviously these stocks are not established, right? So back then when the Dow was a thing, it was again 13 like absolute blue chips, right? There's the rock solid company. They didn't have these niche companies that don't have profits, right? So there's a lot more opportunity there, which means there's a lot more diversity, right, in the types of companies, right? So here's where it gets into it as far as how I'm going to change this and tweak it. For me, I still don't risk more than 10%, but I don't start every position with 10% exactly because of beta, right? And if you're not familiar with beta, it's basically just a fancy way of saying the volatility of the underlying asset. So I think it's based off the last 5 years versus the S&P 500, right? So a stock like SanDisk has a really high beta, right? It has, just this Friday, it was down 10%, right? It's down like almost 50%, right, in the last month, but it's also up thousands of percentage points in the last couple months, right? Versus the S&P, which, like in the last year, it's like a 15% range or something like that, right? So that has a really high beta. So if I'm starting out a position here in a company like ExxonMobil or Procter Gamble, yeah, I might just go right to 5 or 10% right there of of buying power, just call it a day. But if I'm going to trade a SanDisk, right, or a Duolingo, or SMCI or something, one of the SOXL, right? There's another, an levered ETF. I'm probably going to start with 1%, You know, when this thing can move, I mean, this is down more than 50%, right, in a month. And from here, it was up like 400% in a month. So you don't need 10% there. And needless to say, again, on Friday, it was down 13%. So if you put all your money into this Thursday at the close with 10%, you already stopped, you know, you already lost more than your max risk. So in that instance, I'm going to be starting out with a much smaller position. And then, you know, if need be, if it's part of the plan, I can work into that and average into it. But averaging in is a huge pitfall for most people who can try to do it. My rule on averaging down, is you only do it if you have kind of planned that out previously. So, okay, like it's going to get to this level. I'll add 1%. I'll double it to 2% if it gets to here, right? When you get into trouble is when you start doing it without planning ahead of time. But to get into that a little bit further here is just by the 10% rule. So if I start with a 1% position with shares, I can lose 100% of that trade. And it would still be equal to losing 10% on a 10%. I can lose 50 on a 2%. I can lose 33 on a 3%, right? And so on and so forth. So that's effectively keeping me in that 10%, of capital and 1% max loss, while giving me a little bit more flexibility, right? I don't have to only trade blue chips and start with a 10% position. I can buy an SOXL. I can buy anything. I can buy AMD. I can buy anything that's super high beta, right? I could buy MSOS or something that squeezes up 50% a day, right? And still be protected there. As far as and basically that's kind of like the long and short of it there. But the other thing with risk management, as far as averaging in, generally speaking, the way that I think the best way to do it is, if you're going to start off with, let's say, a 1% position, you want to go to 2 on your next ad, right? And then from 2, you go to 4. And then from 4, you're going to go to like either 8 or 10. If you start off with 1.25, then you can go to 1.25 to 2.5, 2.5 to 5, 5 to 10. Basically, what all you want to do is make sure that your last ad is the largest, right? So you don't want to go from 1 to 5, and then you don't want to go from 1 to 8 and then from 8 to 10, because that's going to butcher your average, right? If you went from 1 here and then you added to 8 here, and then you only add 2% here, your average is still going to be way up here, right? So you want that last ad to really anchor your cost. But in general, that's pretty much the long and short of it there, as far as risk is concerned. I generally advocate using, for swing trading, a weekly, your stop out should be on a weekly close, because there's many times where they trap something on a Monday or a Tuesday, and then it rebounds into the weekend. But the 10% rule has kept me profitable for many years here. So that's generally what I use in my system. And it's worked out very well. So let me guys know what you think in the comments. What else you want to see for swing trading videos in our little series here. Outside of that, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe to the channel. You can come find me on carnivoretrades.com for swing trading alerts, analysis, and live day trading. And we'll see you guys all in the next video.